And now, the thrilling continuation of the SML podcast.
I know one of the bands is called Fucked Up, so you don't have to worry about censoring yourself for that.
That's what I just got actually this morning when we did that radio show. They warned us. They said, do you mind referring them to them as effed up?
Well, you could say fuck as much as you want on this show.
All right, there we are. Good to know.
I mean, guests want to come back, but that doesn't mean I want you to come back. But on that note, what's up, everyone? This is Joe.
And I'm sad.
Ha!
And Pappy.
This is the SML podcast, episode 187.
Three more before I'm terminated.
Pretty much. You're coming up on your evaluation. We know you're failing.
No, I'm like Logan's run of co-hosts. You just, after 100 episodes, you murder them and get a new one.
Yeah, murder. You think it's going to be that clean and simple?
Oh, I'm sure I'll be dead eventually.
Tortured.
As long
but
as you're
murder.
having fun, Joe.
Yeah.
So we got things today.
There's a lot of things going on. We actually have an interview with Alex Jansen of Pop Sandbox. That's it. I'm losing my mind. To talk about Loud on Planet X. That's going to be up later in the show. I actually recorded that a little bit ago, like an hour or so ago, and he unfortunately couldn't make it for your stupid face joining us, but we'll have that on later, and you could stick around and enjoy that. That's an awesome game that just came out last week. Talked about it last week. We're going to talk about it a little bit more this week since I've spent more time with it and got a hang of some more of the mechanics.
Did you beat it yet?
I opened up the boss battle.
Okay, I cleared the center, but I did 2 of them on easy, and then a couple on normal on the side, so I got to go back and do everything on normal.
Yeah, I completed all the main songs on normal with 3 stars. I did not get to the boss battle. Well, I tried it once, and I couldn't get the calibration.
Yeah, I didn't 3-star 2 of them on normal, but I know what So it turns out I'm a lot better at the fast-paced songs.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, because the slow ones I tend to start rushing and then missing.
Yeah, we actually talked about that, where when you first play, you might have a harder time with the fast songs since they get quicker tempo and everything. But once you play and get used to those, you have a hard time going back to the slower ones because of how much.
And not only tempo, but also now you have to be a lot more skilled with what you're using and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And missing a note costs you a lot more points.
Yeah.
In the end.
Very true.
But yeah, there's more planning ahead for, okay, which alien am I going to hit with the next click? Whereas if it's super fast, you're just like, da-da-da-da-da-da, fuck all of you, da-da-da-da. It's easier.
No, I guess instead of talking about it later, we'll just talk about it now.
Yeah. I mean, I played on Steam. So, I did not have the calibration issues. I figured out, and I'm very proud of this. You mentioned that you hadn't noticed that to get your double score, you got to time a click with when part of the stage lights up.
Yes. Last week on the show, I erroneously stated that you needed to hit the note on perfect timing to get a 2x multiplier. Erroneous? Not bad.
That's cool.
I erroneously stated erroneous.
God damn it. All right, anyhow.
But I was wrong with that, and because of that, I'm actually going to change my review of the game because I gave it a try last week based on my own issues that I experienced with the game, not knowing properly how the scoring worked. When you hit a certain number of notes in a row, the background, where the lanes, they start flashing in different patterns, and you need to hit those lanes while they flash to get the double score on those hits, which explains why I wasn't always hitting 2x multipliers, but I would occasionally hit them. And now that I know that scoring technique and how it works properly, while I still have issues with calibration, it has nothing to do with the scoring, and I am officially changing my review to a buy it.
I'm going to give it a try it simply because if you don't like the music, you're not going to like the game. It is indie music. There are a couple tracks I don't like.
I think there were only 4 or 5 I didn't like, and they were all in the pink section.
Yeah, so I'll say, obviously give it a try because it's a really fun game. But even just watch someone stream it real quick. Make sure you're going to dig the music because every level is a different song. And if you're just like, fuck churches, fuck Tegan and Sarah, well, then you're done. Like right there, don't play the game because you're angry.
Do you know how happy Alex was to come on our show and get to refer to the band Fucked Up as Fucked Up?
Instead of foot up.
Effed up.
Yeah.
Because he did an interview like at 6 o'clock this morning, and they're like, would you be able to refer to them as effed up, perhaps? Because, a radio interview, so I couldn't say fuck, but you're on our fucking show, so you could fucking say fuck as much as you fucking want.
Yeah, and anyone who potentially wants to roll us into their large corporate headquarters, we're not changing our swears, goddammit.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. Again, on Steam, and so I plugged the headphones in like the game says, and I had a good time. And my only issue is when you do get the power-ups, it takes you a little bit from the game to move the mouse, click the power-up, find a lane, click the lane. It's like, man, I could have been attacking more fucking aliens. But that's the only quibble I have.
Does it have gamepad support on there?
It might, but it's so easy with the mouse. Otherwise, you just, hey, look, my mouse can hit all 4 lanes by moving, half an inch up and down. I'm doing it right now. Yeah,
I'm eager to see how the Vita port works because he said the Vita port, when it releases, will have touchpad support or touch screen support.
That's cool. Well, make sure you get plenty of screen cleanser for your grubby little fingers.
But I don't want to talk about too much of the interview because that's going to air later, and you need to fucking listen to the interview. So, Pappy, listen to the interview.
Okay, and I gave it a try. Verging on buy it if you know you like the music. Just give the damn game.
Yeah. It has such a varied soundtrack that you're going to like some of this.
Yeah, you just want to even check the fucking band list. Make sure you're going to like half of it or more.
Yeah, I surprisingly liked a lot more of the soundtrack than I thought I would.
I was happy that no Decemberists showed up. Because I'll be honest, man, I've tried to get in that band like 2 or 3 times, and I just don't like it. So I'm kind of glad they didn't show up.
But anyway, before we talk about the other games this week, there is some news that we could chat about.
Okay.
First, the bad news. They announced the 4 games for Games with Gold in May on Xbox One.
Bad news?
I'm not a fan of the lineup. We've had a bunch of good months in a row, and then I think May.
Well, they were throwing some AAA games in there every month.
May is a letdown compared to what we've had. On the Xbox One, it's Defense Grid 2 and Costume Quest 2.
I've never played Costume Quest 1.
Well, Costume Quest is good, but it's a year and a half old.
Okay.
And Defense Grid is old. I don't know. After being spoiled for so many months, it's a letdown in my eyes. Plus, I have them both already, shockingly.
Because if they release Red Dead on there, then no one will buy anything else for like 3 months.
Well, we didn't talk about the 360 games yet, which, of course, Red Dead is not on there, but it's Grid 2, which I'm excited about because Grid Racing Series is a good series. And then Peggle, the first one. I'm more annoyed that they didn't get one more game that was a sequel because we have Defense Grid 2, Costume Quest 2, Grid 2, and Peggle.
Yeah, how hard was it to get Peggle 2 in there?
Seriously, what the hell?
Dude, I've got a box in my garage with 3 Xbox 360s, or not 3, yeah, three 360s. 2 of them are broken and one of them's good, and I've just never bothered to figure out which one's which. So I haven't plugged any of them in.
Champion. But yeah, I know some people are gonna like the lineup for the month. Personally, I don't think it's that great.
We're also spoiled too. So let's be honest. I think my worldview has changed definitely with all the cool games that we get to fucking preview. So a lot of the times I look at the Xbox games and I'm like, psh, I got fucking indie stuff to play that's so much better.
I kind of wish we would get a new release. I miss when we would get a new release that it's guaranteed nobody has yet. But hey, after so many good months in a row, I'll take a meh one because it's not even a bad lineup. It's just eh.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like the next 2 months for video games for the big releases is kind of meh anyway.
I'm just hoping E3 might give us something big. But you mentioned Red Dead, And there are 5 new games that are now compatible on the Xbox One. And unfortunately, again, nothing is Red Dead. But there are some good ones. They're all arcade titles, so no new retail games. But Altered Beast and Comic Zone, the old Genesis ports, those are now compatible. The Xbox arcade version, Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime, which I heard is a lot better than the retail Ghostbusters. The Cave from Sega, which is apparently a pretty good side-scrolling puzzler adventure kind of game. And then I think the highlight of the list clearly is motherfucking Double Dragon Neon.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right. Fuck. Buy it anyway.
And Chris just chimes in, did I hear Double Dragon Neon? Yeah, it's compatible on the Xbox One now. He says it's exciting.
Yeah. Almost as exciting as having a third host.
Yeah. If
But
only.
That's cool, though. I like it. I do like anyone who has a chance to play Double Dragon Neon.
Yeah, so if you don't already have Double Dragon Neon, now's the time to fucking buy it. Because you could play it on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
What other news do I have here? Mods in Fallout have got releases.
Yay!
They are hitting Xbox One in May.
Now, is there a list of mods?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
Because I know they're not
apparently-
just going to let all the mods happen, or because there's way too much boobs in all the mods.
I don't think they're going to have too much restrictions on it. I think any of like the super risky stuff might not make it, but I honestly expect we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff in there. But who knows?
I watched some guys playing the game on the PC where they were able to just go in and change like gender and fucking race and stuff. And oh my God, I'm like, I wish we could do that on the Xbox.
I hope we get, like, Skyrim had Macho Man dragons. I hope we get dumb shit like that.
I just like the fact that the guy was like, oh, this dude, is he important? No? All right, cool. He's a Deathclaw now. Or then he was turning people, what are the fucking aircraft in that game? I'm just brain farting on it.
I know, the vertibirds.
Yeah, he just turned a dude into a vertibird. Just like, well, he doesn't matter anymore.
I want vertibirds to just become fucking Thomas the Tank Engines. Flying Thomas the Tanks.
Yeah, I'll just look forward to any of the imaginative mods that add fun to the game without necessarily, I don't need God mode on a mod. Like,
but
would I have fun with it? Yeah. But
PlayStation users aren't that far behind because they'll be getting the mods in June. So it's only a month difference.
All right. Good, because I've been playing more Fallout 4 despite my protestations.
Protestations?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a plural for protesting. Remember how I said I was going to play Fallout 4 again until all the DLC was out?
Yeah.
I'm made of lies.
Yeah, I know you are.
So I have a freckled redhead. I named him Fucker. And I just started the Mechanist. And it's been fun so far. Like, it opens up, you can now like build your own robot companions. You'll build a robot workbench where you can gather stuff and actually just straight up build a fucking robot companion. But there's still so much shit I haven't done from the original that I'm not sure how much time I'm going to spend with it. I will say that you need to kill the new enemies as fast as humanly possible. Because one, they swarm, and two, some of them are those modified, stupid little fucking flying basketballs.
Okay.
And they all continuously loop a message from the evil Mechanist.
Nice.
Forever. It gets really fucking annoying. There was one hiding in a corner. I couldn't find the goddamn thing in one of the buildings. It took me like 10 minutes to find him and murder him. And I was just so angry by the time it happened.
Good times.
Yeah. But yeah, Fallout. So good. So I know that we will not be putting this up today, but today is the 26th of April, and it happens to be Alien Day. A merchandising grab because it's the 30th anniversary of Aliens. There's a lot of stuff that sold out that I'm glad, because I would have bought it if it hadn't.
Yeah, that fucking poster you were showing me.
Yeah, that poster's badass. Just the Reebok, they're getting a lot of fucking upset customers because they were like, oh, we only have 800 for the fucking world, and we're only released selling 50 in the US.
Oh my lord.
But it was the actual reproduction of Ripley's shoes, and they had like 1,600 copies in the U.S. of the robot. Just brain farting his name too. Bishop shoes. So they looked pretty cool, but like $175 a pop. Yeah, no.
Damn.
But on that, there was an alien-themed game you wanted to cover.
Not necessarily a game, but some DLC for a game. Pinball FX 2 today just got Aliens vs. Pinball, developed by Zen Studios, clearly. Released today for $9.99, and it includes 3 pinball tables. I was graciously allowed to play them early, thanks to the fine folks at Zen. It has an Aliens pinball table, which is based on the movie from 1986. I think it's the best table of the pack. It has voice clips from the movie, and clearly when the game is over...
Game over, man. Game over.
Yes, clearly.
Awesome.
They have missions that follow the movie where you could either do them in movie order, or you can do them in whatever order you want, and you get to choose when you start the game. There is a fun mini game where a truck is driving down a tunnel and you have to use the bumpers to move left and right to avoid debris. Shit. It's a solid table.
Dude, yeah, I mean, that makes sense, though, because a lot of people argue that while Alien was the best for building the scares, Aliens was hands down the best movie in the franchise.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that the table would be the best one, too.
Yeah, the next table, they have a table based on not necessarily the game, just the whole aspect of Alien versus Predator. It's more of a low profile table, like it seems lower but wider instead of like more narrow with higher ramps and everything. It seems like very low. There aren't any huge ramps, no big jumps, no high elevation layout, but it felt wider. The open, like the middle area of the table was very wide open. And some of the little mini missions, they would have targets pop up that you would like bounce them off there. It's a fun table. I think it's probably the low light of the pack, but even there, it's a solid pack. Still a lot of fun. I love it when it switches over to like Predator mode.
Oh, because you see an IR.
Yeah, it like the whole field goes dark, and then it just. Like the bumpers, the ball is all neon orange. It's
cool.
It's crazy looking. It's really good.
Dude, that actually sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So what's the third one then?
The third one is Alien Isolation, based on the 2014 video game. Okay,
so your ball gets stuck in a locker and can't come out for fucking 2 hours?
Pretty much, yeah.
God damn Alien Isolation.
There's a lot of crazy ramps on that one. There's magnetic sections. There's walls you got to break down to attack the aliens. It's a crazy one, a lot of fun. I still think that the Aliens table is the best of the pack, but the whole pack for $10 for the 3 tables, absolutely worth
it
getting.
Sounds like this is one of those where like, yeah, this is my favorite table, but it's because it's the best, not because any of the other ones suck. You know?
Yeah, I know the last Star Wars pack we talked about had like the one table was kind of meh. There's no meh in this pack. They're
all this talk makes me want to go watch the Alien quadrilogy that I own.
Or how about you just buy the pinball tables?
Well, I was just going to point out that it's really weird that it's called the Alien quadrilogy when there were only 3 movies ever made. You know,
I thought there were 4.
Nope. Alien Resurrection was just a rumor. It never really happened.
You're a retard.
I saw that fucking thing in theaters, god damn.
That's because you a hoe.
I'm finally old enough to see an Alien movie in theaters. Oh, they finally put out a terrible Alien movie. How convenient. So yeah, anyhow, on to other games.
On to other games.
You played like what, 2 or 3 more on top of that, right?
Oh, there were a couple. There were a lot of shit to talk about. The next game, we'll talk about this one, Asdivine Hearts. I talked about it briefly last week. This one is developed by EXE Create Incorporated, published by KEMCO. It was released April 14th for the Wii U, and then it was released back on February 1st for Steam. It is another classic retro 16-bit era JRPG. This time, instead of being on a 3DS, it's on a Wii U. And
so how much grinding did you have to do in this game?
Surprisingly, not a lot. Granted, I'm playing it on easy because I have so many fucking games to play that I kind of just wanted to get through the story.
Yeah, that's fair.
From other reviews I've read, if you play it on harder difficulties, clearly you'll need to grind more. But for this one, it didn't seem, at least on the easy difficulty, grinding was that much of a necessity. It has some cool aspects with it. Magic is kind of handled with equipment. You have a little Rubik's grid that initially starts with 9 cubed slots, and you can find different pickups that give you different effects like added strength or access to this kind of magic that can take up 2, 3, 4, 5, however many blocks, but you got to Tetris it into the little cube. So as long as you can turn them and make them fit, you can get up to 9 things in there. Or if you pick something that's just a corner piece and a middle one, then, you might only have 2, but it depends on how big they are and how you could turn them to make them fit.
So it also limits how many buffs you can have at any one time.
Yes, clearly you can get larger grids. I forget what the name of what they're called, but you could get larger ones as the game progresses. So you could fit more in there. You are able to eventually start combining those gems to make more powerful ones.
Is this for your whole party or each member of the party?
Individual.
Oh, Jesus, fuck balls.
Yeah. So
okay, well, I guess that makes sense because you want your fighter, you put all the fucking strength and damage buffs on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another fun thing is there's 5 party members in the game. You get them fairly early on in the game, and then you just have those guys, which I like. It simplifies it so you're not, swapping out 14 different people. You just get 5 and you have 5.
I don't think any RPG should ever introduce a playable character beyond like the 30% point, because I think that's just bullshit. Hey,
never play Chrono Cross then.
Yeah, I'm almost done with the game. I only have like fucking 2 more hours left. Here's a new player character. Like, fuck you. I don't even know you.
You're never going to be used.
Yeah, it's like I spent 40 fucking hours plus with these guys. I care about them. Fuck you. Go sit in the back.
But the formations, they actually have a benefit to messing with the formation. Normally it's like 3 in the front, 2 in the back, or you could put 2 in the front, 3 in the back. This is, again, like a 3x3 grid. Now, the people all the way in the back can't really do any physical attacks because they're so far back. They'll do a lot less damage. People in the middle do like a middle amount, and then if you have a whip, the one character has a whip, she could still have full damage because she's attacking over everyone. The people up front, they'll do more damage, but they'll also take more damage.
I feel like I would inflict less damage in the front if somebody were flipping a whip by the side of my head all the time. Be too distracted. Okay, so basically you're encouraged like tanks up front, magic in the back.
But not just that, they have special formations that you can learn where when characters are in specific positions and you can like select the preset ones or do whatever you want, you can get party bonuses. Like mine, 3 people in the front and then 2 on the outsides in the middle. It gives like I think a 10% speed boost and then an attack boost as well.
Huh.
So just having your characters in a certain layout can get you bonuses to make the fights even easier.
It allows them to form the Power Ranger Ultimate faster.
Pretty much. There is a trust mechanic in the game where, you can talk to people in between certain quests where you can boost your trust with them. I'm not sure if it leads anywhere because obviously I haven't finished the game yet because it's a fucking huge RPG. But I'm working on it, so I just want to get the review out there so I could give my final thoughts on it. My gripes with the game come down to the controls.
Is it timed attacks and stuff like the newer Final Fantasy games?
No, it's a very old school game, so it feels just like an old RPG. There's nothing super complicated to it. It's very casual friendly. Again, on the easy setting, there's not much grinding. It's just the controls with the analog stick, something's fucked up. And I thought maybe it was something wrong with my Wii U controller But reading on other reviews, other people have had the issue where you can like hold up and diagonal to start moving, and then your character will just like stop.
Ah, shit.
Like there's just something wrong with the controls where they're not working like they should with the analog stick. You can use the D-pad, and I've had no problems with the D-pad, but it's just more natural to use the analog stick to move around.
So what you're saying for people who want to buy this, just you're going to have to use the D.
Use the D-pad or get used to the fact that if you're moving down and then you like try moving to the side, you might not move to the side. It just, something is fucked up with the controls in the game. I don't know why. I don't know what. Something's wrong with them, but it's not a deal breaker.
At least you like the D, so.
Yeah, other than that, like I said last week on the show, I give it a solid buy it. It is another fantastic old school KEMCO RPG. As long as they keep churning out old school RPGs on the 3DS and the Wii U and they're $10, you really can't go wrong with them because they're just fucking fun.
Well,
if you don't like old... I've put about 10 into it so far, but I think it's like a 20, 30-hour game.
Yeah, so you're talking about like fucking multiple hours.
You're gonna get your money's worth out of these games. Every RPG that KEMCO has put out has been absolutely worth the money, as long as you're a fan of old school RPGs. If you never got into SNES era RPGs, you're not gonna get into it now. But if you're into them,
kind of fair. Yeah.
You're gonna fucking love it.
It's like, hey, Pappy, do you like these games? No. Well, then don't play them.
Then you're not going to.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Nintendo stuff, I did have a little bit more news I wanted to talk about before we got into the aliens thing. Humble Bundle right now for the next, I believe, 2 weeks has a Nintendo bundle going on. Is the Humble Friends of Nintendo bundle. It includes games for the Wii U and the 3DS, which is awesome as shit.
Huh.
If you pay $1 single, you get Retro City Rampage on the 3DS, Affordable Space Adventures on the Wii U, and then Shantae and the Pirate's Curse on the Wii U and the 3DS for $1. For $1. If you pay $13, you also get Darksiders 2 for the Wii U and Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition for the 3DS. And then if you pay more than the average, because God knows that changes all the time, right now it is $9.72, so this is included if you pay the $13. You get Freedom Planet for the Wii U, Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure for the 3DS, a Retro City Rampage DX 3DS menu theme, and then your choice of either the Wii U or the 3DS version of Citizens of Earth from Atlas, which a lot of people have talked to as like a love letter to Earthbound. So, Jesus. $13, you get a shitload of games. It's kind of weird that they make you choose between the Wii U or the 3DS version of Citizens of Earth, but whatever.
A lot of stuff they don't. That's...
Someone was like, oh, it's a shame that they don't have it separated into Wii U and 3DS because I don't have one of them and it's just not worth it to me. Someone's like, yeah, how dare I pay an average of $3 a game when I could only be paying $1.60? How dare they?
Yeah. How dare I buy $200 worth of video games for $3?
Close. Right now it's sitting at $179 worth of games.
Yeah, hey, here's $17. And I'll just give away $100 worth of those games to someone else who has the console, and I'll still be able to play fucking $70 worth of games for $7.
And even better, because it's Humble, you know more shit's going to get added.
Yeah. That's why I avoid the Humble bundles personally, because
I couldn't help it. I had $13 in PayPal that I dropped so I could get all those games. And even better, because I already had Shantae on both Wii U and 3DS, I made a post on Facebook offering those up to people who check out the show. So if you're listening to this, you have until technically tomorrow when we record on Thursday, because this will be up on Wednesday, We're doing the drawings on Thursday. If you want Shantae and the Pirate's Curse for either the Wii U or the 3DS, or fuck, we still have it for the PS4, email us at the smlpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us why you want it, specify your platform, and you can get it. Hell, feel free to enter 3 times, one for each version. I don't care.
I'm just giving shit away. I'm Crazy Joe.
I have 3 codes for Shantae across 3 platforms, and I don't need them. So they're up for grabs.
That's fair. So, speaking of things you'd like to grab.
I would like to grab my wiener.
Okay, so what's the next video game that you played this week?
Well, we had the interview a couple days ago, but I figure we should at least get our official Party Hard review out of the way.
All right, I'll give the more negative one. I'll get that out of the way.
Well,
it's a stealth game.
I got to get the details.
I know. I like to interrupt.
You're rushing me.
The deets.
Developed by Pinokl Games, which is comprised of 50% Alexanders.
Yes.
Published by tinyBuild. It released April 26th for $12.99. I'm sure you could get it on like a discount for the first week. It's available on PS4 and Xbox One now. It came out previously on Steam. And if you haven't heard our interview with Alexander Prime of Pinokl Games, make sure to check out our last episode. Listen to that.
We are giving away a code or 2, aren't we?
3, actually.
Yes.
And if you haven't followed our Twitter and you're listening to this on Wednesday, you have until tomorrow, Thursday again, to tell us why this game is better than committing actual murder.
Yes.
Email that to the smlpodcast@gmail.com, and you have a shot at winning one of 3 codes of the game on the Xbox One.
Dude, okay. This game is fun.
Yes.
I'm not taking that away from it. I'm just bad at it because it does require stealth. Old school, like Metal Gear Solid, fucking don't get seen by anybody stealth. But in return for your patience, you get to murder the shit out of people in ridiculous and inventive ways.
I'm going to disagree with you that it doesn't require stealth. It requires patience, which I think are different.
Same thing.
Because you can wait patiently for someone to leave the party, but you can still walk through the party scene.
All right. It requires stealth in the murdering aspect. You can't just walk up and murder somebody.
True.
All right. So there is a certain level of stealth. If you pull out your knife and anyone sees it, they call the cops. So I guess okay. It's a patience game.
Yes, very much so.
That. But it's a lot of fun. It's very meta. Even though I've been stuck on level 1 the entire time, it does randomize to an extent. So one time there's a fucking horse, and you can just kind of, well, I guess you whisper to the horse, and it fucking kicks the guy in the face and kills him if you time it right.
The best part is if you do that, you're not picked out as a murderer because the horse killed it.
Yeah. You can make a random phone call every level, and I just had fucking mafia come in and shoot up a room once. I had fumigators come in and just poison everybody in the kitchen. I just had, at one point, just a fucking, like a big ass truck just drove over half the people outside, and that was that, So, there's ridiculous stuff. And Joe, so I'm obviously going to give it a try. It's not for everybody. It's not just a fun little party game, or it's not just something you sit down and play like, oh, I just want to chill for 5 minutes. You can't do that with this game. You have to put in some time and some patience to get good at it. But Joe, you've beat the game, so I'll let you give a more fulfilling review. I
have beat the game. I actually got 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements on it. I ended up shizzing it where I just started the game and quit out 100 times to get that final achievement. Actually, I'll be honest. I was loading the game and exiting the game during the interview for the game.
I believe it.
So that's not the last achievement I got, believe it or not.
Yeah, the ninja one was your last?
No, the ninja one I got actually fairly early. I actually got the ninja one right before we started our interview lab.
Oh, okay.
The last one I got was beating the game. Believe it or not. I got everything else except beating the campaign, and then I beat the campaign and got the achievement for getting all achievements.
Oh, congratulations, sir.
Yeah. Despite you saying that it's not for everyone, I'm still giving this a buy it because of how much fun it is how much it pushes you to kind of think outside the box when it comes to solving certain problems in the game.
Think outside the box when it comes to putting everyone in the icebox.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's a fun way to just relieve stress, because even if you just need to sit down and relax, if you've already gotten to the party bus stage, that's a stress reliever right there. That's the one.
No one calls the cops or what?
It's just the bus, so there is no one to call cops.
So you just can't let anyone get out of the bus.
It doesn't stop.
Oh, so that's the stress reliever level. I just need to get to that level.
That's the one where he was talking about, like, they disabled achievements for it, which surprisingly they didn't disable achievements. There's one there where you got to complete the stage without using any traps 3 times. You can just play that stage 3 times and get the achievement.
We'll do it now before they disable it.
Yeah, so I just think that the game is fun enough to warrant a purchase, especially at only $13, because you're going to have fun with it. You might suck at it like Pappy, but you're gonna have fun sucking.
Yeah. And I'm gonna try it again down the road. I'm not just like, oh, I never got past level 1, fuck it. I did not just uninstall the game. I'm gonna play it again when I have at least another hour to try and get to level 2.
Yeah, you just have to exercise patience. And remember that you can kill someone, and if you leave the room and someone goes in and finds the body, if you're not around, you won't get in trouble for it.
Yeah, I just go dancing. But then I start getting a little greedy. That's why I keep getting caught.
Yeah, that's your problem. So that's entirely on you.
Oh, I never said it wasn't, sir.
So you're a piece of shit.
Oh, I can't party hard.
Next game to talk about is called Rocketbirds 2, developed and published by Ratloop Asia. It released April 26th today for $19.99 on the PS4 and the Vita, and it has a 20% launch discount. It is a sequel to the original Rocketbirds that came out a couple years ago. It is a 2D side-scrolling shooter platformer. There's not really much actual platforming in the game. It's mainly a shooter.
There's platforms to jump onto.
Yes. It's mainly a shooter in the vein of like a Contra or something. I kind of want to say it's a Metroidvania-esque game, but that's just because it has a map and there's a little bit of backtracking involved. But for the most part, like, there's no leveling. The game is separated into 6 distinct chapters, so it's not like you're going back to earlier stages. It does have a second mode in there, which I haven't unlocked yet, that I can't really comment on. But the actual game itself, I played the first Rocketbirds, and I wasn't the biggest fan. I just felt it controlled clunky and slow, and I didn't really dig it that much. So I was excited to see how Rocketbirds 2 was, and it is an improvement in every way that I could think of. It looked
pretty fast-paced on the videos I was watching.
Yeah, the game, it's fast-paced. It's funny, over the top, kind of bloody and gory. I'm disappointed that the first game was M-rated and this one is T-rated, so it was toned down a bit.
The swearing, maybe?
Yeah, swearing and violence. Like, the first one was just ridiculously insane.
Okay.
The first game, you were actually like called the Cock of War, because you're a chicken, hard-boiled chicken, and it was spelled COQ, the Cock of War. And in this game, they bleeped the word cock.
Well, because isn't the COQ the little thing that hangs under a rooster's neck?
I don't know.
I'm going to look that up while you continue talking, because now I
But they bleeped the word cock, which is still referring to a chicken, so you'd think that would slide, but despite it being spelled out in the text, it was still bleeped. So I don't know. I've been playing the PS4 version. I haven't really messed around with the Vita version. I didn't even see if the code I got was a cross-buy or not. The PS4 version has something that I absolutely love on the PlayStation 4, and that's 3D. I talked about this with Trine 3 when we covered that. Not many people out there give a shit about 3D gaming anymore.
Oh, okay. So cock is just rooster in French. Okay.
People thought that 3D gaming was just, it's a flash in the pan, a come and go fad. I fucking love it. If a game pops up. Like, I didn't even know it had 3D until the game started, and my TV popped up like, this game has 3D content. Would you like to enable 3D? And I immediately grabbed a pair of glasses. Like, fuck yes, we're going to do this. You have to enable it in the settings. It doesn't automatically start in 3D, but it also has a depth slider. So, of course, I cranked that son of a bitch all the way up.
So, is there, like... Depth doesn't affect the game, though, right?
It doesn't affect the game at all. It's all aesthetics. Like, you'll move left to right, and the background will, depending on the depth, it'll scroll by faster to give you more sense of depth to it. But it doesn't affect the gameplay at all. There's zero effect on it. But it makes it, for me, it makes it more immersive. It gives it a little bit more. It shows more care went into it.
Yeah, I mean, it looked. Again, I watched 2 videos. One was gameplay, and one was just the trailer. It looked cinematic style. Like, it looked like they actually bothered to put a story and a plot and some humor into it. So. Oh
yeah, it's definitely a funny game. It has over the top references to like 2 of the chickens sound exactly like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously fun. It's just an enjoyable old school shooter kind of game with a more modern feel and look to it. My only 2 gripes with the game is, one, I blame entirely on Sony, and that is climbing ladders or like jumping and grabbing onto a ladder sucks because I hate where the analog stick is on the PS4 controller.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I have always hated DualShocks. I hate the position of it, and you can't use the D-pad to move. So you have to use the horribly placed analog stick to move your character, and it doesn't work well with me. That's entirely a personal thing. People who love the DualShock, you won't have any issues. The ladder thing is my other issue. It's very slow to climb ladders. Climbing up and down ladders is very sluggish.
So they should just get rid of ladders and let you double jump to another level.
Well, you can't. There is double jump in the game, so when I grab a ladder, I just hold up and then start double jumping to jump up the ladder. But it's just, I don't know. It's such a stupid gripe to have. But the ladders.
If everything else is fast paced, and then you get on a ladder and you're like yeah, that's kind of pulling you away from the gameplay.
Other than that, I'm giving the game a solid try it. It's a massive improvement over the first game. People might be turned off by the $20 price tag. For getting both versions of the game on the PS4 and the Vita, I think it's fairly worth it. But I know some people won't be sold on the price. If you grab it now at the launch discount, I think it's an easy buy it. But for the most part, it's a hearty try it. Because it's definitely a lot of fun to be had, and if you're looking for a good 3D game, the 3D doesn't affect the gameplay, but it's in 3D, which is good.
That's cool, And so you can add 3D and make something more fun without, having to be like, oh, the whole game is 3D.
That's something I wish the Xbox One had. I wish it had 3D games on the system.
I wish it gave hand jobs, but we don't always get what we want.
True. All right, one more game to talk about this week before we jump into our interview. The game Severed, developed and published by Drinkbox Studios. You might know them as the guys behind Mutant Blob's Attack and the fan favorite Guacamelee. It released again today, April 26th for $14.99, exclusively on the PlayStation Vita. When I first asked about the game, I inquired, is it going to come to consoles like PS4 or Xbox One, Wii U, or anything like that? This ain't going to come to consoles. This is a heavily touch-based game. Like, this will not work with the PlayStation TV. This is 100% for the PlayStation Vita. This is a first-person dungeon crawling game, but instead of being like explore a dungeon, leave, go back to a hub town, explore a dungeon, it's laid out kind of like a Metroidvania, where you are, you start in a town, then you go into a forest, then you go to a castle, and you go fight bosses. It feels like a Metroidvania, but in a first-person dungeon crawling control scheme.
There is backtracking?
Oh, there's plenty of backtracking. There's unlocking new abilities and re-exploring old areas that you were at to find more power-ups and hidden secrets and shit like that. The combat in the game is 100% touchscreen.
Touch. I was gonna say, yeah, if it's for the Vita, and yeah.
The enemy.
So how? Okay, before you get into like the nitty gritty, how was the story? Is it as dark as it looks in the trailer?
The story is kind of slow to reveal itself. You wake up and you're missing a hand.
I hate it when that happens.
You look into a mirror and your hand is I think your left hand is just gone and it's wrapped up and bloodied. And your family is gone, your village is empty, and you basically got to figure out what the hell's going on.
That's creepy. All
yeah.
Right, that's a nice start to any
story. And when you look at the visuals in a game like Mutant Blob's Attack or Guacamelee, that it's a very colorful, bright look and feel to the game. Take that same exact art style, mute the colors a bit, and it's this game. So it's such a beautiful, abso-fucking-lutely gorgeous visual style to the game with such a dark feel and subject matter to it. And it's just a lot of people have been mourning the death of the Vita. If you own a PlayStation Vita, you need to buy this game. I'm not even going to give it like a try it or a buy it. This is a must own. This is a game. This like validates owning a Vita in my eyes.
I wonder if maybe if the creators themselves were like, yeah, we love the Vita. We wish more people had the Vita. Let's make a game for the Vita to justify.
It's very possible because Drinkbox makes incredible games. Like Guacamelee is amazing. Mutant Blob's Attack is amazing. Severed is like a whole new realm of amazing because I loved Guacamelee. It was a fantastic game, but Severed there's something to it that just clicks with me. If you're not into dungeon crawlers, you still might enjoy the hell out of this game because it's just so fun to experience. The visuals just draw you in. The story just draws you in. And just even the combat just feels right. An enemy will pop up and you'll have to figure out where their weak point is, and you use your finger to slash the screen. You could, depending on, up to down, you could do a vertical strike. However you move your finger is how you strike. If you do a long one, it does a long, heavy attack. You do a short one that only does like a fraction of the damage, but it's a lot quicker. On some enemies, you could just like swipe back and forth like crazy and kill someone in 2 seconds if you're quick enough.
Huh.
It's something like you might be able to pull this off on a Wii U with the gamepad. I think it might be too intense for the 3DS. This isn't a game unless it is heavily, heavily retooled that you're going to see on a console.
Okay, so get a Vita.
I don't know if it's worth buying a Vita for. If you own
it's one of those, if you have a Vita, get this game.
If you own a Vita and it's collecting dust, which it most likely is, let's be honest, this needs to be bought, especially at only $15. When I was playing it, I was like, this is going to be a $20, $25 game. 15 is significantly cheaper than I thought it was going to be. And I believe there's even a 10% sale for right now, or possibly 20. I don't do enough research sometimes. You have any type to soon on your website, Severed? $13.49. So yeah, 10% off.
Dude, that's pretty cheap for a game that sounds like that much fun.
It's just, it is like right now it has a 5 out of 5 rating with sadly only 38 rating.
But still, people are picky assholes. That's still kind of surprising.
Yeah. And even better is like all the upgrades in the game are based on body parts. Like when you kill an enemy, it slows down, there's like a flash behind it, and then there's lines that you use your finger to trace those lines, and you cut off like their hands or eyes or different body parts, and you use those for upgrades.
I like it.
And you can even use like just giblets that you find. You can unlock an ability to convert those giblets into actual body parts.
I appreciate the fact that you just said giblets.
I'm good. This is going to be one of those games that I rave about. And if you own a Vita, this is a must buy. Absolute must buy.
Cool. I like it. Sounds good. And I look forward to the interview that I wasn't a part of that's coming up soon.
Hey, I tried, but he had shit to do, so.
That's all good. I have work. It happens.
I'm going to bust my ass to try getting Drinkbox on this show to talk about Severed. I know they're stupidly busy, but I will keep trying because that game is... Oh.
That sounds good, man.
It's been a crazy week. We had Party Hard. We have Loud on Planet X with Tonight Show. And then on Friday, I hope you fuckers are ready. We're doing all our reviews early this week because Loot Interactive is returning to SML. And we all know what happened the last time they were on, where we had to add a show to take care of the stuff that we didn't get to do on their show.
Yeah, because we're going to talk. We're going to talk games. We're going to talk fucking philosophy because these guys are smart as hell.
We might end up talking about Star Trek, but I guarantee we're going to talk about Jump Jet Rex.
Yeah, to start.
Yeah, probably.
And then God knows what else. All right.
Oh, man. So I guess we'll fire into the interview, and there's not really any final words for us because there's still the interview to go. But stick around, listen to the interview. Maybe I'll put like a little jingle or something after we're done talking. Like separate it.
Yeah, doesn't Chris own an ocarina? Can't he just, whip something up real quick?
He has an automaton.
So good enough. Get him on here.
I don't think he has an ocarina.
Fuck it, he should. He's an artist, isn't he? He's a musician.
There's gonna be something, and then it's gonna be like a whole new episode where I do the introduction and everything again because I'm too lazy to edit things that much.
That's fair.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Stick around for the interview and enjoy the music afterwards, which I think I just got an email for. I got music for Loud on Planet X, which is fantastic because they had actual like musicians make brand new music for them for the menus. We're going to play that stuff. Awesome.
Yay. I was trying to do a high-pitched yay and my voice won't let me.
My throat hurts too much.
That's what she said.
Say goodbye, Pappy.
Goodbye, Pappy.
Oh, what's up, everyone? This is Joe. This is the SML podcast. Pappy and Chris are not here right now, but instead I have a special guest joining me all the way from Canada. Alex Jansen, how are you doing, sir?
Really good, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing pretty okay. Just had some macaroni and cheese. I have a Mountain Dew Pitch Black sitting here, so I'm doing pretty good. Good.
Sounds like a good time.
So explain to us who you are, why you are here, and then the sales pitch of your wonderful game that we've been playing.
Great. Well, yeah, so I'm Alex Jansen. I'm a Toronto-based little dev studio called Pop Sandbox, where we've done everything from graphic novels, film, video games, and here around Loud on Planet X specifically. So Loud, we just launched last week on PS4 and Steam, and then on iOS and Android, and it's an indie rhythm shooter. So basically what you're doing is defending your stage from aliens with music. So it's kind of like Plants vs. Zombies meets Rock Band, where everything's happening on the tap. So you're basically tapping on beat to the music, all licensed music, and then as you're tapping, your speakers fire to stop these aliens from approaching, and then you start to unlock different kind of specials, which are more in the vein of towers. So like the strobe light will hypnotize the alien, stops them from moving. The fog machine slows them down. The bouncer pushes them back, and then each of the bands have their own custom specials, which are kind of like a way of wiping out all the aliens. So, and it's
which comes in handy big time.
Very, very handy when you panic. And it's 14 bands and 2 tracks per band, so 28 tracks in a 30 level game. So you basically start in a tutorial where you're playing in the Horseshoe, which is an iconic venue here in Toronto, and you'll play in that first level, and then what you're doing is when you learn the mechanic, then you get transported to the alien planet, and then that's where kind of all the fun happens, and you kind of move through the planet, unlocking new songs, new bands, en route to this big final showdown where you go back to the original club for a boss fight.
Nice. Mentioning the aliens, Pappy, my co-host, who couldn't make this episode, he actually emailed me 3 questions, and I figure we could cover those before I start asking my own. And he leads off with, I'm enjoying the game, and the premise is pretty unique. A band fighting off aliens in a tower defense style, but with rhythm. So what was the inspiration behind this idea? Was it drugs?
That's a pretty great question. Well, it's funny because most of the stuff that we've done with Pop Sandbox, I've done a lot of kind of like social issue documentaries, so pretty heavy projects. We've done we did a documentary-based graphic novel about a man who was arrested in what became the world's largest bicycle theft bust. We did a interactive documentary built from interviews with people who'd attempted suicide and survived. We did a satire video game around the oil and gas industry. So some pretty heavy subjects, and in the midst of it, I just love playing games. The way I relax is I a lot of the time I'll play on an old MAME. I'll basically be playing the old classics like Miss Pac-Man and Tetris, and usually just turn down the music, play with my own music, or listening to music friends are suggesting. And then that was kind of the original idea, was just getting the game to respond to the music, and just kind of a way of chilling out. And then from there it kind of ballooned. Obviously a big fan of Plants vs Zombies, which is really where the game really started biting off of it. Like the initial designs were very much like, I'd say like 60-70% tower defense with rhythm tap elements, and then it's actually completely flipped. So once we actually got into prototyping and then development, it's kind of gone full circle. So now it's really more of like a rhythm-based shooter with tower defense elements. So it's much more active game and a little less strategic than a tower defense would be.
Yeah, I think the best way I've described it to people is rhythm defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
His next question, what inspired the musical choices? Because the game has a fantastic soundtrack. I like pretty much all of the bands. I think there's only 2 of them I wasn't too into, but overall, the soundtrack is fantastic.
Oh, that's great to hear. Well, actually, the music started, the first band on board was Fucked Up, and we actually worked with them. They're an amazing band. I think they were Album of the Year with Spin Magazine about 3 years ago, and they've won the Flares Prize, one of the big prizes up here. But there's really smart band, and we've worked with Mike and Jonah from Fucked Up on our last game, Pipe Trouble. They did the original score for it. They were the first band on board for this one here. They did an original score again on it. So actually, the game has 4 original tracks. They aren't playable. They're just like main score, but it's Mike and Jonah from Fucked Up, Brendan Canning and Justin Para from Broken Social Scene, and then a new band War Snake and Harrison. They all did original tracks. But what we started with with our local scene here in Toronto's got a really vibrant indie game scene and a really vibrant indie music scene. And so we started with the guys from Fucked Up. They bridged a few intros. Mike actually ran a label called One Big Silence, where they did some early Diamond Rings. They did some Austra, and so that was kind of the start of it. We put a few intros out there, and then we got a great response. And basically, what we started to do is kind of cast a wider net. And Brendan Canning, oddly enough, the 2 of us play soccer, and we met through soccer. And super nice guy, and he bridged some intros. And next thing you know, we had interest from Metric and Tegan and Sarah, and then this is that uniquely incredible thing about Canada is that there's these amazing funding models. And so one of the big funders that came in, we've had funding from the province through the OMDC, the Ontario Media Development Corporation, but the second funder specific to music is Factor, and they're a great organization that basically helps support the music industry across Canada. So they help with things like touring, recording, and whatnot. And what they did in this case, they had this fund which was all about, they're really excited about trying to get Canadian music in front of new audiences. And so it was kind of a perfect fit with what we were doing. And that allowed us, they came in to help us expand the roster there to 8 artists. And then we did this Kickstarter campaign, and the Kickstarter campaign was basically what allowed us to add more platforms and also go to 14 artists. So in the end, it's 5 platforms: PS4, Steam for iOS and Android, Steam for PC and Mac, and then iOS and Android for mobile. And it's 14 bands. And then the last roster, we started to expand out into international. So we got Churches on board, and Little Dragon, and Health. And a lot of the curation was Tanya Van Leuven, who she used to work with Warner. I actually was originally pitching her on trying to get some of the Warner artists into the game, and she ended up actually leaving Warner and joining our team, which was amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, she really believed in it. I think she's also really excited because from the music side, it's like a new way of engaging audience and whatnot. And so Tanya came on board, and she really helped with the curation, and then we worked with the music supervisor because the licensing was pretty tricky. I mean, I feel like it was like a legal degree I went through learning it, because basically each artist, what you're looking at is you're licensing on the performance side and then also on the publishing side. So there's 2 pieces of paper per song. So each band is 4 songs. You've got 4 pieces of paper there. Plus, we're also doing a likeness agreement with them because you're playing as the actual bands.
Yeah, I like that about the performances, that each band has their own little cartoony caricatures of themselves on stage, and I love that part of it.
Oh, that's probably one of the favorite, and one of the most rewarding things too is watching the bands play as themselves. So it's and they're all bands that are big, big music lovers, big game lovers. So it's but so anyway, so we ended up in the end working with someone on the licensing to help with it as well, because it was about 50 some odd contracts by the time we were done. But there's no way we would have been able to do it with our budget if it wasn't for the fact that the bands just wanted to be involved. And then that's where it's amazing, is that you get bands like Lights, who's I think it's 3 World of Warcraft tattoos and like a huge avid gamer. we were talking with her early on, doing this kind of interview where we interviewed a bunch of the different bands about what their special attack would be and all that stuff. And it was great because just off camera she got into a battle with Jason, who was shooting the interview, about who's the best racer to use in Mario Kart. So that's pretty fun. And then the guys from Fucked Up are right into games as well, and they do this thing called the Long Winter series where they actually do a lot of showcasing of games and live performance art and whatnot within these shows they organize on the Queen West area. And then Cadence Weapon, it's right into his music. Mets, they've done work with Rockstar, and of course Health with Max Payne. So it's really it's kind of a cool crossover of the bands.
Yeah, I know I've seen the guys from Harmonix share some pictures online of the people from churches playing with them in Rock Band, and I'm still wondering why we haven't got any churches in Rock Band for how big of fans they are.
Oh, man, hopefully that'll happen. It was oddly enough, so we were just at PAX East, just came back, and while we were at PAX East, we were able to catch up with a couple of the guys from Harmonix who have been amazing. Like, I mean, I don't know everyone there, of course. We've just met a couple guys, but we went down. First time we did PAX East was last year when we were just getting ready to do the Kickstarter campaign, and they came by the booth. Ended up one of the lead devs stayed with us for about a half hour, giving different insights and lessons learned. And because we're really lucky that our lead developer Andrew Carvalho, he worked on Sound Shapes, so we've got some background in the rhythm arena. So that really helped. That was huge. But then also just having the guys from Harmonix, lessons from the trenches, being able to share some insight, and even actually backed on the Kickstarter side. So he caught up with them. He's like, yeah, just like waiting to get his backer package, and it's pretty fun.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, the Harmonix guys are awesome. They've been awesome to our show. I think we've had 9 different people from Harmonix on our show over the years so far.
Yeah.
So they're great people. It's cool that you guys were hanging out and chatting, and hey, maybe you could get some of these songs into Rock Band.
Oh man, that'd be nice. Yeah, I'd love
how
to see
cool would that be? Some nice crossover stuff going on.
Oh, I'd love it.
Well, you mentioned this earlier. Who do you think is the best racer in Mario Kart?
Oh man, it depends. It's so funny because I'm old school. Like I played on the on the first Mario Kart, and at that time I always used to use Koopa. But
everybody used Koopa Troopa.
He was my favorite. And
if you had to go with Toad, you just felt ripped off. You're like,
yeah,
bitch, this is my house. I get to pick Koopa Troopa.
Oh, absolutely. And then but I'm finding like in the latest Mario Kart, he's actually not that great. Like latest Mario Kart, I find I go with Wario so that I can pick up the speed. That's basically it. Wario on a bike. But back in the day, it was always Koopa, and because of that, I think I had loyalty every iteration. I would always use Koopa, but I guess I abandoned him on this one.
Every time he'd show up, I like picking Shy Guy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I became a fan of him in Mario Tetris when he would swing and he would just go, his little ducky quack, whatever the hell he makes.
Yeah. But it's
Oh,
funny.
man.
I've never. I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of people, but never Mario. I always found because I was always playing as Koopa. I found that Mario was always my nemesis.
I've never been a Mario guy. I've always been a Luigi guy. So
Yeah.
fuck Mario. How's that? I'll say it. I'll say it. Fuck Mario. All about Luigi.
I love it.
So the final question from Pappy, and this one echoes myself. He asks, any thought of a port to other consoles? I'm playing the Steam version, but I would love to rock this on my Xbox One someday. And I think I've been harassing you nonstop since we first talked about how I would love to see this on the Xbox One.
Oh man, I would love to see it on the Xbox One too. Right now, basically our plan is just we're rolling it out and seeing how it goes. We've been pretty stretched thin. Just it's a tiny team on where we're at, but the hope is that if we pick up some momentum, we might be able to expand out into the fall. So perfect world, what I would love to do is actually add like a couple more bands and roll out in September onto Xbox One, or even like because it's all developed in Unity, and even when we were playing with the controls, we were working around the idea that so it could potentially work on Wii U, which would be like just a personal dream having something on Nintendo. But
yeah, I was just going to ask that as well, if there were any plans for Nintendo ports at all.
Yeah, well, because we even on the design side, because you can't register the 2-finger touch, and so we actually early on we were looking at playing with like a 2-finger touch, but then that wouldn't register on the Wii U. So we've planned with the idea that we could go that way. It just depends on how everything goes. And what we've also been avoiding so far is doing it as a DLC, and even in the mobile version, like I don't know, as a player, I really hate the whole kind of paywalls, and I'm not as big into pack expansions, only in as much as that part of the whole design of the game is the curated roster, so that hugely like you might pick it up because Churches or Tegan and Sarah, but you're also going to discover Monomyth or July Talk, who are like hugely popular in Toronto, but I feel like they're going to blow up huge into the US as they go.
Yeah, I never really heard of Fucked Up or Purity Ring, but after hearing them in the game, I'm checking them out now, and
well, that's great.
There's good stuff in the game.
Yeah, well, that's the hope, is that it's a way of discovering kind of new music. So if we did do that port, the ideal way of doing it would be just to add a couple more bands to refresh it, but not to do it as kind of an expansion thing, to just basically free update to everyone who already has it for the existing platforms, and then expand out. But that all just depends on how things go.
That was going to lead to another question. The way the song selection is in the game, it looks like you could fit a bunch more bars in each of those sections with new songs. And I was going to ask if there's any plans for DLC to come along, new bands, new tracks.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows how it goes? I mean, it'd definitely be nice. I mean,
fill that grid up. Empty spaces, they just look crazy. You need more music.
I'm with you, man. But it's for me, it's a dream just where we're at right now. Because we when we first started, we were looking at 4 bands, and then next thing we're looking at 8 bands. When we got like Factor came in with the additional support, and then next thing with the Kickstarter, we're looking at 12. Then we ended up just managing to somehow squeeze in 14. Plus, like in the midst of this, we ended up getting like those 4 original tracks, which is amazing. And personally, as a dream, it was like we ended up cutting a 7-inch vinyl for the Kickstarter backers, and that was I'll get you one in the mail. Basically it was pretty fun. It's shaped like it's like basically designed to look like one of the one-hit green aliens. So it's this green vinyl with the eyeball, and it's got the original tracks from Mike and Jonah from Fucked Up, Brennan and Justin from Broken Social Scene, War Snake and Harrison, which are all like in the menus of the game.
That is fucking awesome.
It was fun, and we were even able to get I don't know if you know Michael DeForge's work. He's an amazing Toronto indie cartoonist. Again, there's this really cool crossover between like the gaming, the music, the comics community in Toronto. But we've done some graphic novel work, and he's with Koyama Press and D&Q. But he did an amazing artwork for it, and then Jesse Jacobs did the back art, and so it's kind of a dream. He also, I think Michael's working on Adventure Time right now too. But
nice,
so it's a pretty fun package. Yeah, make sure I'll get you one.
Nice. That's fantastic. Yeah, this is another one of those games. A couple weeks ago, we talked to the guys who made Griffin Knight Epic, and it's just another one of those games that I wish I knew about the Kickstarter when it was around, because I look back at the Kickstarters and I'm like, oh man, I could have gotten this cool thing and this cool thing and this cool thing. Like they had handmade plushies for Griffin Knight Epic. You guys have fucking vinyls. Like I wish I could get in on that stuff and have all that stuff hanging up on my shelves next to like my Witcher statue, my Persona plushies and my Moogle plushie. And I have way too much shit in my house if you can't tell.
That's a good problem to have. Oh man, yeah. I mean, it was pretty crazy, the Kickstarter. Yeah, and we've heard a few people after, because we ended up in the end. We pressed 500 of the vinyl, and that's it. And that'll, I guess, be all there ever is. It was really interesting too. I like the lessons learned. I don't know if you've been following it all, if you're a vinyl fan, but there's such a demand for vinyl now, and there's so few places that press it that at one point we were looking at like a 6-month back order. But
holy hell.
Yeah, so there we're like, how are we going to get it in time for the backers and whatnot? And we actually pressed with Pirate Press, who were out of San Francisco, because I think there's a big one in Nashville, one in San Francisco. Although I think actually Pirate does some of their stuff over in the Czech Republic as well, but there's not a lot of them. But they treated us right. They totally pushed it through, which was amazing, because we were biting our nails, because all of a sudden we were thinking, wow, we were like 3 months away, and we thought, wow, we're really well organized, we're well ahead, and then then we're a little spooked, but yeah,
that's awesome.
They got in just in time for this epic mail out that we did, I guess 3 weeks ago, which was just round the clock stuffing bags and getting it all going. And then it's been really neat seeing the response when people get the packages. So.
How's the game reception been so far? Because I loved it. My only issue is I had some calibration problems, and then I had an issue not understanding the scoring in the game, and I thought it was tied to calibration, but mentally I fixed all that shit, so I've been having a much easier time with the game. I still can't get the calibration perfectly, but other than that, I absolutely love the game. The music, the art style, the gameplay. How has the critical and public reception been so far, since it's been out about a week?
Yeah, well, I think so far it's been going pretty well overall. I mean, there's a few people, unanimously what we've got, which is amazing, is unanimously people just love the music. So that's amazing to hear, because I mean, that was a ton of work and piecing it together and whatnot. So everyone's loving it. And the nicest thing is, like, a lot of people were getting messages where they're discovering new bands that they're really getting into. And that's awesome. And I think in general, in terms of it, like, we basically, I'd say, like, it's overall been really strong. There's a few people that get frustrated with it. I think there's a few people that got upset that more so that it felt like to them like more like a mobile port, or that they wanted more to it. But then the flip side is that when we're getting the same responses we're getting back, is like people are pretty happy with like an understanding with the price. I mean, because it is, it's a $7.99 game.
I was going to say, how much can you expect out of an $8 game? You're getting a shitload of music, fun gameplay, and they're complaining that there's not more to it.
Well,
there's a lot there.
But I think it's always just, there's always the vocal few. So, I mean, that's the only thing we got a little bit about on that side. Overall, like, the response has been great. We just we're all pretty excited. Just this afternoon, like, Vice UK just came out with a glowing response, which is pretty great. And yeah, like, overall, people seem to be really digging it. The backers seem to be really digging it. There is a few things here and there that we just have to, we're looking into, constantly addressing, logging, switching. Like, it was pretty ambitious for us. It's our first kind of cross-platform release, and going out on PS4 and Steam on Tuesday, and then iOS and Android on Thursday. Plus, the Thursday launch was while two of us were in the car driving to PAX East in Boston. So I think it was ambitious, to say the least. But yeah, so it's there's some lessons learned on that side, and there's a few things that we're ironing out, but we've been able to address even a lot of like the buggy stuff we're already getting into, which is great. So yeah, I've been really happy with how it's going so far.
Yeah, I just finished up all the main songs, and then I just unlocked the boss earlier today.
Oh, and nice.
I haven't beat it yet, because I figure if I'm going to do this, I got to try it on a hard to get that last trophy.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it.
Oh, that's
I'll get
great
there.
to hear. Yeah.
My only suggestion so far is, I mentioned this in emails, the calibration. I don't know if there's a way to either make calibrating the game easier with like some kind of beat tempo while you're in the calibration area, or to even be able to adjust the calibration during a song and then restart the song. Because my only complaint was I would set a calibration number, have to go back to the main menu, load the song selection, pick a song, load the song, hope it was right, and if it wasn't, quit the song selection, main menu, adjust the number. That's literally my only gripe with the game.
Yeah, and that's fair. We've actually logged that one a couple times. We're trying to see the two biggest swings that we had was also, which is strange because it went through TRC and didn't catch, and we haven't been able. We originally we couldn't reproduce it ourselves, but there's also some kind of a strange resolution thing happening on some people's. Well, it was actually it's a TV thing, but through PS4, and then the calibration thing is those are probably the two bigger ones that we'd like to try to get our hands working on. So yeah, definitely logging it and working on it. But yeah, that's great feedback.
That'll be fixed for the Xbox version, right?
Oh yeah, if we roll out, it'll be by September. There's a bunch of little stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff I'd love to get into. Like I'd love to get into double time. I'd love to get into like we even envisioned some pretty interesting 2-player stuff and whatnot. There's a lot of stuff that we'd love to get into. But I'm happy with the core mechanic, and I'd love to just build on it. I hope we get the chance to build on it and things take off and we can polish and grow.
Yeah, my one co-host, he's my roommate. He tried the game out and he's like, "Oh, can you go double time on this?" And he was trying to go fast. And I think on some of the slower songs, it might come in handy to have double time in there.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because oddly enough, if the first time you play, like Fucked Up and Mets are just so much faster that they feel super hard. But then once you get the core game, I actually find that those are easier to me. The ones I struggle with the most are actually
the slow
like
tempo songs.
Yeah, the slow tempo hip hop, which is interesting. Yeah, and that's the other thing which we get a lot. It's fun to see is like it is a game that really does not reward button mashing. So when you start to panic and you go crazy, it totally because you can only everything is on beat. Absolutely everything triggers on beat, and so like the button mashing doesn't help at all. But there's a few things like even stuff like continuing, and that's what's it's fun kind of going out and getting more response. But I'd love to be able to heal towers on the go. There's heal speakers on the go, and there's a bunch of stuff I'd love to kind of keep iterating on and whatnot. But I'm really happy with where it is. And I found that quote that I thought you'd get a laugh out of. So this was the Vice one today. He basically listed off all these different bands, and then he's like, "Sign me the fuck up, buddy." I was thinking that would be because I used to work in film and in home entertainment on DVDs. I'm like, I would love to put that on the cover of box.
Oh my! That if you do a physical release, that needs to be one of the quotes on the back of the box. It wouldn't fly on the front, but you could sneak that in on the back. I mean, you're gonna have Fucked Up on there. Man. Clearly, a letter or two is gonna be censored. So you could definitely have "Sign me the fuck up" in quotes as well.
We already had, oddly enough, Fucked Up got us, just using the word fucked, even with the asterisks in there, got us Peggy 16, which is is kind of crazy. Yeah. We ended up, ESRB got, we replaced it and whatnot. There's no real violence. I think in terms of from the classification side, it falls as mild cartoonish fantasy violence. I think was the box.
Exploding aliens.
So but it is odd that word seems to generate so much. But
now, I did notice the one rap song, one of the earlier ones. I was surprised by how much they said the word shit in that song.
I haven't counted. It was pretty funny though. We did have to supply when you're getting classified, you got to supply lyric sheets and the whole works. And yeah, it's pretty. That's a lesson too, going through that process. But it's actually not that different because I, as mentioned, used to work in film, and so it was film classification was the same thing.
Yeah, ratings are so weird, and then you'll see something like Rock Band where they censor a lot more than most other games when it comes to lyrics, I guess, just to keep it more of a family style game. Then you have something like Guitar Hero Live where they have songs saying shit in there constantly, but those same songs would get censored in Rock Band. So I don't know. I never know what's good and what's bad with censoring. So,
yeah,
it should all be M-rated. Fuck it, we're adults.
Yeah, just a free for all.
Like Redneck from Lamb of God just came out in Rock Band today. It's like, let us hear the F-bombs. The motherfucking invitation. It's not a invitation.
Oh man, I remember
motherfucking invitation.
I remember as a kid there was two. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like 2 Live Crew. You could get the clean version or like the other one. And I remember I was allowed to buy the clean version, but yeah, the sanitized.
Oh God.
Good.
I remember my mom buying me Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction on cassette before like parental advisory labels were a big thing. And, like, we opened it up and it had the little cartoon inside of like the rape robot. If you remember that image. And as soon as she saw it, she returned it to Kmart. She's like, "This is filth. How could you?"
Oh man!
And
Well, the nice thing is that I don't see that happening with it. I thought it was pretty ridiculous when we did get a higher classification. Just it's interesting. Fucked Up. They're a super smart band doing some really cool stuff, and they still run into that with like a lot of the newspapers. They'll win these kind of crazy awards and whatnot, and then the newspapers, they get the phone calls in for listing it and whatnot. It's strange.
Can we list your name as Muffed Up?
I'm sure the band would love us renaming it. A name for them.
That's actually a decently good name, Muffed Up. Muffed Up.
Yeah, it could be the cover band down the line.
So what's next from you guys? You said that you're hoping to get this onto other platforms. You guys are working on a Vita version, right?
Yeah, we've been working on it. Simultaneous. We're just in a hiccup right now of getting it. Everything is running perfectly on the Vita, except we're having trouble with the UI, and so we're talking with Unity on trying to figure out how we can get that sorted so that we can get it out onto Vita, because it feels and plays so nice on the Vita.
Is it going to be touchscreen based or button based?
Touch. Yeah, it's yeah. So we're hoping. We're kind of cranking away on that. We just launched last week. Right now we're doing a lot of fun stuff. So PAX East last weekend was great. We're heading down to Indiecade East this weekend on Friday night. We're going to do the Friday night party. Actually, Cadence Weapon's going to come down and DJ it, which will be great. So that's going to be on Friday night at Indiecade East, and then we're doing some stuff at home. We're doing the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. They do this really cool comics versus games program, and this phonographic exhibit that the vinyl will be part of. And so we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff there. And Canadian Music Week's coming up, and so yeah. So basically,
you sound busy.
Yeah, we're trying to support it as much as we can. And get everything going, and then see what kind of momentum we go, and then kind of catch our breath a little bit, and then hopefully be able to move on some of that expansion stuff. So we'll just kind of see where things go.
Nice. You guys should look into trying to hit up MagFest next year.
Oh yeah, cool.
That's the one convention I go to every year. That's the one I don't miss.
Yeah, I've never been. I'll totally check it out.
Yeah, that's more a party than a convention, but in recent years it's been getting more convention-y.
Yeah.
Because the first year there were 200 people there, and now this past year at number 14 there were, I think, 20-some thousand.
Man.
So they've definitely been growing, and they have an indie showcase every year. And I was walking around visiting all the indies there, and I think it'd be cool to get some of the people that we've talked to on this show to see them down there and finally get a chance to meet a bunch of you guys.
Yeah.
Hell, get the Toronto game scene and just carpool down there. I know there's like 40 development studios in Toronto. Yeah,
well, and we work out of Bento Mizo, which is a huge hub for the Toronto indie scene, and that's where DMG, Dames Making Games, they're based out of, and there's the guys from Asteroid Base, Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time.
Yeah, we talked to them on the show before. They were cool guys there.
Oh yeah, they're great. And the guys from Golden Gear, like there's a really cool community. And then also involved in Toronto, there's the Hand Eye Society, which is like an indie game culture organization, and ton of I mean, I guess a bunch of the founders are John Mack from Sound Shapes, and Jim Monroe, and from No Media Kings, and MetaNet, like some really cool stuff. So it's a pretty cool scene. So I could totally see even at Indiecade East, there's going to be a big Toronto contingent down there.
Where is Indiecade East?
Indiecade East is New York, right at the Museum of the Moving Image.
Ah.
Yeah. We went down there last year with Pipe Trouble, the last game. It was part of it was like a exhibition of games that encountered like censorship or controversy or whatnot. And it was a really cool show and an amazing building. And especially, I guess I'm a bit of a nerd for film, because that's a lot of the group, but it was, wow, it's pretty cool being down there.
Oh, it's a shame Pappy's not here. He's the movie guy on our show. So.
Oh, cool.
But at least he got a couple of questions into you, so that's always good.
Yeah, good ones too. Yeah, hopefully we get a chance to talk to him down the line.
Yeah, I know you said you had to get going around this time. I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to talk about. I don't want to keep you on too much later and make you run late for your other stuff.
Yeah, no, this is, I really appreciate you having us on. This is, my main thing is you can find all the info, I guess, through the website, loudonplanetx.com. And then, Facebook, Twitter, and whatnot, we're cranking around. And it's available PS4, Steam for PC and Mac, iOS and Android. And then hopefully we'll expand out into the fall. And I guess you'll probably feature through, but the roster of artists, I think it's 14 bands. So, everything from July Talk, Metric, Lights, Tegan and Sarah, Austra, Fucked Up, Churches, Little Dragon, Health. Really interesting cross section, and a lot of that is we're really grateful. It's being made possible through organizations like Factor and the OMDC. So hopefully it takes off.
Are the original songs going to be available like on Bandcamp or SoundCloud or anything?
We made them originally available exclusively through the Kickstarter supporters on the vinyl, and then we did kind of like an early thing, so everyone who supported the Kickstarter got digital copies of it. But I'd imagine that they'll be we're going to be pushing something out. We're actually going to be sitting down with the bands and getting them their copies of the vinyl and all that stuff now that we're back. So
nice. Yeah,
the hope is that we can get full lengths. Right now, there's excerpts of it, like Rolling Stone and Pitchfork did some cool stuff where they excerpted bits of them. But I think we'll hopefully get the full thing out, because they're pretty amazing tracks. I mean, especially getting to hear something new from some of the guys from Broken Social Scenes are really cool.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Oh, and War Snake's an awesome band. I think they're gonna take off big. So
I was actually going to ask, we end our show every week with music. Would you mind sending us a couple of those songs for us to play at the end of the episode?
Oh yeah, definitely will.
Awesome. I guess if this game comes to the Xbox in the fall, we'll have to get you back on. It's been great chatting with you. I feel bad that this is one of our shorter interviews. We normally go like at least an hour, but I know you're a busy guy. You have a lot of shit to do. So I'm going to let you get going. Do you have any final words to give our listeners?
I don't think there's anything. I feel like I should have some great wisdom, but I really don't. But yeah, thanks for having you on, man. It's it's the end of it. It feels like the finish line was like the launch, and then it's also the starting line. So we're kind of in the middle of it. But yeah,
it all goes downhill from here, buddy. All goes downhill. You got to talk to idiots like me now. So.
Oh man, this is good.